Yo, what is going on YouTube? This your boy Kamen Zero Spike back again once again. And today, people, today we're here for Kamen Geats episode 15. So this episode was actually pretty dope. I was thinking that we might not get Geats for like at least 2 episodes, but your boy comes back in this episode, and as the clever fox he is, shout out to my Ken, to the clever fox that he is, this man has basically found a way to get himself back into the game, which was absolutely freaking cool. And Geats giving him the most stankiest of faces I've ever seen. This man is willing to do any and everything to get Geats out of this game, to get him out of here. Whether he is alive or whether the man is 6 feet deep, he wants Geats out of here. But this episode was actually pretty freaking dope, especially how Geats was able to come back. We see that your boy had basically created notes for himself because he knew that he was eventually going to get retired. So he basically created these notes for himself all around his room to remind himself, and also giving himself like these little visual quotes and these other like actually telling him what to do when a Yamato attack happens, and how exactly how to get your your erased memories back. We did see that our main 3 writers, Neon, Tycoon, and Buffer, they feel overwhelmed. They feel very overwhelmed. They feel like someone is missing because of the load that they have to go through when it comes down to the final round of this game. They seem like they don't really have the confidence in themselves to actually do it. Well, except Buffer. You know, Buffer's like, I am going to win this. This is my time. He ain't here no more. I mean, you guys ain't nothing to me, so I'm winning this game. And I did think that Buffer did change his whole outlook ever since the games came back or whatever, but he still his desire is still the same. His desire is still to crush all Kamen Riders, basically just to get revenge for his homeboy, get revenge for his best friend who was killed by these DGP staff members. So we just see how that kind of was like starting to play out mostly. The fact that they're not feeling they're also getting very suspicious on what is actually happening during the games. How everybody's like getting real suspicious about asking questions about what the DGP actually is, and also what they're not telling them. We see that our 3 writers did go and fight a lot. Did go and fight. Hello, legends. Did go and fight a lot of a lot of Yamato, and they weren't winning. Like, they essentially were getting their butts kicked and were very overwhelmed by these newer, more powerful Yamato, especially the Yamato riders, and also this new boss Yamato, and the final boss Yamato was just a giant plant. Just a giant flying plant eating everything. It was like a big, it's not a Venus flytrap, it's one of those plants where it's like a sack, and then like it has like a acid at the bottom of it, and it traps bugs in it. It was one of those type of plants. But we did see how like they were basically getting overwhelmed by these guys, and they were trying their best to defeat them, but they couldn't. We see that Ace did appear on the scene after he gets attacked by some Yamato at one of his photo shoots, and we see your boy is basically still living out his actual desire. His actual desire was just to be a star of stars, how he described it to Geats. Even though he's still living with Geats and Sumidi, and they're basically still his family, he just doesn't have the memories of any of the DGP stuff. But we see that he goes and he's being attacked by all these people, being attacked by these Yamato. He saves a couple of people before he leaves. He gets out there, and before he gets there, we see that Buffer is doing his damnedest to take down these freaking Yamato. He even goes and used the fever boost knuckle, or not fever boost knuckle, but the fever buckle, and he ends up getting the propeller. He ends up getting the propeller attachment, and he ends up using it to try to fly up there and defeat the final boss. But he was trying to take a page out of Geats' book for how Geats, he flies up there and, starts taking this thing down all cool and flashy and stuff like that. And we see that he inevitably gets his butt kicked. He goes off on saying, like, I'm going to win this game. It has to be me. It has to be me by myself. I don't trust none of y'all. Like, he's still the same buffer that we had for the last 15 episodes, for 14 episodes. But he says that you're all the same to me. Like, they're trying to convince him, like, man, like, we're not like that. Like, we're not like the guys that killed your boy. Like, they don't know about, Toru and stuff like that, but Geats does, because Geats was there. But he's like, they don't know about that. You're blaming them for something that they didn't even do, and they're in this game too, just like you are. But you just don't trust these people, and you don't even trust them to even try and work with them. I know, even though you're all in this game to try and get your own desires, at some point they've been proven multiple times in this series that sometimes you guys have to work together to end up to defeating these things, like taking out these freaking Yamato and stuff like that. We also saw how some of, how Tycoon was seeing all these Yamato like talk and stuff like that, and they reminding him of past DGP members who have died before, so thinking that they maybe have their essence or anything like that. He's starting to get suspicious of, I think these Yamato / Yamato riders are related some way to these to the people who have died in the past. So one of them did actually talk to Buffer, and it said the same thing as the guy who is the original polar bear, either polar bear or panda bear, but the guy who died, who got one-shotted in the first episode, essentially was basically saying the same thing that he said. So I like that how they brought that kind of back, like they kind of brought that back of, like, yeah, like, this guy, he's technically not dead, or his essence is like still in one of these Yamato riders, which still very, very, very creepy, especially also with Tycoon, how you saw like one Yamato rider was talking and saying the same things that the old man said. But yeah, so we see that Buffer inevitably gets his butt whooped. He eats a giant freaking laser that this final boss shoots at him. We see that Geats does try to help him and stuff like that, but he's like, oh wait. He's like, oh, like, even though you lost all your memories, you still got a bunch of lectures and stuff for me. He says something like courage and recklessness aren't the same thing. Stuff like that. And we see that Ghidorah is very adamant. He's very, like, he has this confidence that Buffer will be the new Geats or the new Ace, and that's simply just not the case in this. He even calls Buffer reckless at one point, saying that they shouldn't have did that, stuff like that. And we see that Sumire is not, like, she breaks in this episode. Like, she has really started to she's really had enough with Ghidorah's BS. Like, she, especially in the next scene that I'm about to talk about, which is they ended up everybody basically just ended up escaping at that point, and they kind of start conversing in the lounge area. And that's when Geats throws it out there and says it in front of everybody that Ghidorah is the game master, and everybody else is like, oh my god, you're the game master. So he tells them that, like, hey, you can't be back. Like, Geats, real quick, Geats does get all of his memories back by touching the ID core on Buffer's belt, and he ends up taking Buffer's belt and actually taking Buffer's zombie knuckle. But yeah, so Geats is telling him that, hey man, you need me to basically take this. So he said, why? He's like, you've already been eliminated, you can't be in the game, stuff like that. That's when Sumire comes up and she shows him one of the cards. One of the past desires that Geats actually used was, I'm allowed to be in the DGP until the day I die, which means that Geats is in the DGP forever until he dies. So no matter what Ghidorah does, technically, he can't really get rid of Geats unless Geats dies. So they ended up going back. He ended up giving Geats a chance to go and save the world. We see that Geats goes by himself to basically take out the rest of the Yamato and the Yamato final boss. While he's gone, we get to see Ghidorah telling everybody that, well, he's still talking to Tycoon and Neon, and Neon actually brings up the fact that she knows that her dad is one of the sponsors of the DGP, and you say Ghidorah is actually kind of getting surprised about that, because he doesn't want them knowing all the inner mechanisms of the DGP. And even Sumire herself tries to get Ghidorah to tell them everything, and trying to tell them trying to get him to tell them about what's going on. And he's like, no, I'm not doing that. Silence. He gives her the silence like twice. Like, I'm like, bro, like, you see in her face that she wants to slap this MF. But we end up we get to see this awesome scene of Geats just being the main character, you know, just out here. He's using the boost knuckle, he's using his main form, he's using the twin jet mode. Like, he ends up going off and destroying all these freaking Jamato, and he ends up defeating the Jamato final boss with the twin jet mode. Which is actually pretty freaking cool, man. Like, the everything he did right there was freaking awesome. Like, Geats just, man, like he's in my list now because I love foxes. The white fox is my favorite animal of all time. So to finally get a white fox Kamen Rider, absolutely just a present to me. It was freaking awesome. But we see that Geats, he ends up destroying everything and beating everything, but for some reason the game's not over. Like, nothing gets fixed. Like, everything just still, like, the final boss, he's still laying there dead. And it's just like, what's happening? So we see that Sumidi goes to Geats and she tells him that Ghidorah would like to invite you to this one last game. And Ghidorah basically tells him that, hey, I'm gonna give y'all one more shot to become the god of the desire. I got one more game for y'all to play. He called it the Desire Grand Tournament, and he's gonna basically make them fight each other. And if you don't survive, you don't win. So essentially, he's gonna try and make them freaking kill each other, which means he's trying to make them kill Geats. And he's like, Ghidorah really is a hater, man. This guy's a hater. He truly wants Geats up out of here. I'm like, what is your problem? Like, he's like, oh, this man's won too many times. Like, he said that before. Like, this man has won too many freaking times. I'm sick of him. I'm sick of this. We also saw the reaction to one of the other sponsor guys, the same guy who ended up sending out the jet, the jet, oh, if I say vice stamp, the jet knuckle or jet buckle. End up sending him that. So that guy's like, yeah, man, good job, Geats. Now that's realism. I'm like, oh man, who is this guy? I really can't wait to find out who this guy is, because he seems pretty interesting to me. And Ghidorah is just basically still breaking all the rules. No Panda Jack in this, no Punk Jack in this episode at all. I mean, he's still hacked, but like, Wind is gone. Like, where is Wind? I mean, he's still hacked or whatever. Probably being kept somewhere. I mean, like, your boy just was not in this episode at all, except for like the flashback. But man, like, yeah, where your boy at? But anyway, when Buffer died, technically Buffer was not retired. Like, I do see Buffer coming back somehow. He died. He wasn't retired. No, he died. He went out. He faded in purple, not blue. So I'm wondering, how is Buffer going to come back after that? Like, if he does come back, he's going to come back as possibly a freaking Jamato or something like that. But the only other way I see him coming back is if Keiwa wins. If Keiwa wins and Keiwa gets his wish desired, like gets his wish granted, which is revive everyone who has died in the DGP, that's the only way I see Buffer coming back, because there's no other way. Like, unless Geats wins again and does sort of like a different kind of wish that Keiwa does or something like that. That's really the only way I see him coming back, because that's really the only way I see him coming back, because Buffer died. Michinaga died. So Michinaga died. So it's like, how are they gonna play that out? I mean, he's a main cast member, he's a main writer. So like, how are they gonna make that work? But next episode starts the Desire Grand Tournament. Now I'm wondering how that's gonna be. It's gonna be a free for all. I mean, it has been a free for all. Only 3 people left. But other than that, you guys let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think about this episode. What you guys think about Ghidorah's just complete disgust and disdain. And also, how do you guys feel about this episode overall, man? Like, did you guys think that Geats was only gonna come back? Was gonna come back this soon? Like, I didn't think he would come back this soon. I think it was at least gonna be maybe an episode of like 2-parter or something like that. But other than that, you guys, I'm gonna see you guys next time. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and remember, stay henshin.